YouTube, what's going on? It's Juan Gotti here with yet another Washington football team video, and in today's video, I'm coming on here to talk about Washington's safety room. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. But before we do, make sure you guys go down below, leave a like on this video, subscribe if you're new, and turn on post notifications so you get notified when I upload a video about the NFL, or in this case, our Washington football team. We're so close to 3,000 subscribers. I believe we're like 115 subscribers away. I know we can get there in no time with you guys' support. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you so much. Let's get straight into today's video. So you guys know the other day I came on here and we talked about the wide receiver room, and I asked you guys what position group for Washington would you like to see me cover next, and you guys said safeties, because once again, just like the receiver room, this is another position group that is going to be very interesting and very fun to watch in training camp. And honestly, just like the wide receiver room, it's going to be somebody that's going to get cut, maybe one or two players that were like, man, I don't want to let them go, but we have to. And that's a good thing to have. That's a good problem to have, because you remember, just like the wide receiver room again, years ago, we couldn't say that we couldn't cut players and be okay with it. You know what I'm saying? We had to keep around the trash people, even though we know on other rosters they would get cut. That's now what we're doing. We now have enough talent to now cut talented players that are way better than the trash that we kept around in years past. You know what I'm saying? So with the safety room, just like I did with the wide receiver room and like I would do with the rest of the team, we're just going to talk about who's on the roster as of right now and who do I feel like is going to make the roster at the safety position. And we're going to come back in the mix of training camp when it's over, and we're going to revisit these players and these positions, and we're going to redo our list after training camp, because you guys know all of these players aren't going to make the team. But I just wanted to do one now so then I could see what I have to do differently, or what did I get wrong, or what did I get right 2 months from now or a month and a half from now once training camp is underway. So that's how this works. And also make sure you guys comment down below what position group you want to see me do next. Let's continue to talk about this safety room. So we know with the safety room, we have Cameron Curl, 7th-round stud. The guy had a phenomenal rookie season last year. I'm going to be honest, I was one of the guys that didn't expect it. I thought he was just going to be a depth piece and possibly, continue to get better and possibly make the roster as a special teams guy. You guys understand, with 7th-round picks, they're not all like Cameron Curl. Cameron Curl wasn't like Cameron Curl when the season first started. I personally thought, I'm not going to say we, because I don't know if you guys thought the same with me, but like I said, I personally thought he was just a depth piece, a guy that was going to play special teams and eventually earn his way up to possibly play safety, but they saw something in him to let him get the reins, and obviously Landon Collins' injury went down, so we had to throw him in there, and he looked phenomenal. So it's going to be fun to see what he does in 2021 coming into his second year. But we know we have Cameron Curl, had a phenomenal season, a guy who I personally think is better than Jeremy Chin. Yes, you heard it right, a person that I think is better than Jeremy Chin. And if you guys didn't see my Who is Cameron Curl video, the link will be in the description down below. It's a video where I cover the ins and out of the specific player of that video, from high school, from kids now to the pros. So if you guys haven't seen that video, the link is in the description. But with Cameron Curl, like I said, 7th-round rookie, put up mostly identical numbers just like Jeremy Chin, and he was the one getting all the recognition. And honestly, he was one of the guys that should have been in the Defensive Rookie of the Year finalist conversation. I don't think he would have won it over Chase Young, but I think he should have been in the conversation. If you're going to put Jeremy Chin in there, you should have put Cameron Curl in there, because they had identical numbers. In some categories, Jeremy Chin had Cameron Curl beat by a little bit. In other categories, Cameron Curl had Jeremy Chin beat by a little bit. So I feel like if you were going to talk about Jeremy Chin, you should have talked about Cam Curl. So Cameron Curl, safety that was always going to be on this roster, and who we personally think, everybody think, is going to make this roster, who I personally think is a lock. Next, you have Landon Collins. Landon Collins coming off an injury, Achilles injury to be exact. Not really high expectations for Landon Collins, in my opinion. You guys may be different. I know Landon Collins have a lot of fans out there, but me personally, I just don't see it in Landon Collins. I didn't see it before the injury, and I don't see it after the injury. I highly doubt, and I hope I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? I hope I'm wrong. I don't hate Landon Collins as a person. I just don't think the guy is that good. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully he can prove me wrong and he can come back phenomenal off that torn Achilles. But he just wasn't good before the injury, so I highly doubt he's going to be good coming off the injury. Now, before he got hurt, he was playing solid. You know what I'm saying? Especially that Arizona game is one that sticks out to me when he had the interception. But other than that, he really just hasn't lived up to that $85 million contract that we paid him. You guys hear me talk about it a lot. Yeah, I feel like he robbed us. You can put him up there with the Josh Normans, the Albert Hainsworths of that kind of robbery that took place in the Washington franchise. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I don't hate Landon Collins as a person. I just feel like he's not worth $85 million. Like I said, Landon Collins is a phenomenal tackler. You know what I'm saying? But you need more out of a guy, especially a safety. If you're paying him that much money, he cannot cover for nothing. And this is one thing I would say about Giants fans. They tried to warn us. You know what I'm saying? I hate Giants fans. I don't like their team. You know what I'm saying? I don't hate. Let me take that back. I don't hate the Giants fans. Some of you guys are irritating. You know what I'm saying? Some of you guys are annoying and obnoxious. But I don't hate every single Giants fans. I just don't like the ones that like to be obnoxious and you know, super biased about that team. But I understand it. But back on topic here. They tried to warn us and say Landon Collins was terrible. But, of course, us being Washington fans, that's our division rival. We were like, of course they're going to say that because now he plays for Washington. They don't want to see him do good. But I got to be honest, they were right. They tried to warn us about Landon Collins, and we didn't listen. Or should I say I didn't listen. I don't want to speak for you guys. I really thought the guy was going to be something, and he just hasn't been that for us since we got him. And like I said, Landon Collins, I hope I'm wrong, but I personally think he's a lock. I wouldn't make him a lock. Only reason why I believe he's a lock is because of that big contract he has, and also Ron Rivera might just want to see what he has to offer coming off that injury. But if it wasn't for that contract, I wouldn't count Landon Collins as a lock. That's just my opinion. He's produced since being in Washington. Like I said, I hope I'm wrong. I hope he can change my mind. But since being here in Washington, he just really hasn't lived up to that contract. But for the sake of that contract, I think he's a lock. And then now you have DeShazer Everett, another guy who started his way on special teams. He worked his way up and finally got his chance to prove himself last year. And honestly, before he got hurt, he was playing phenomenal besides Cameron Curl. So I really think DeShazer Everett has a high chance of making this roster. I don't want to say he's a lock, but I feel like he's somewhat of a lock just because of what he did last year and his ability to play special teams at a higher level. So I really hope Shays makes this roster. I wouldn't even be mad if him and Cameron Curl are the starting safeties come week 1. And if you guys have been paying attention to OTAs, those have been the starting safeties, Shays and Cameron Curl. So that's really what I would love to see out there. But if he's just on this roster as a backup, as a guy that's coming in to play in different packages, I would love it too. But I just don't know if I'm ready to say he's a lock. Then after that, you have the rookie that we just got, Derek Forrest. I know I always butcher his name. I got it right this time. Derek Forrest. It's not Foster. Derek Forrest been making plays in OTAs. He's a lock to make this roster. We just drafted him this year. I don't see them unless he's just stinking it up in training camp, which I highly doubt because he's been cooking the OTAs. If he stinks it up in training camp, that's the only way I see him not making this active roster. If then still, he will probably make the practice squad. But Derek Forrest is making this roster. He's a lock to make this roster. And a lot of people think he's going to be the future safety of the Washington football team. Probably in year 2 or year 3 is when they're expecting him to take over. I'm expecting him to make big plays this year. And whether that's on defense, whether that's on special teams, whether that's in the nickel, whether that's at safety, I expect him to make big plays soon as he get on the gridiron. Because like I said, the guy has been phenomenal for us since even in OTAs. And like I said, I know I can't look too much into OTAs, but he's been phenomenal in OTAs. And even coming out of Cincinnati, the guy was a stud. So I expect Derek Forrest to make this roster 100%, and I expect him to be a big playmaker for Washington, whether it's in his rookie year, whether it's in his second year, whether it's in his third year. Next up, why not talk about Troy Apke? I know a lot of people don't want to talk about Troy Apke. He's a guy that I don't think is going to make this roster, but they've been trying him out at cornerback, and I've been hearing nothing but bad things about Troy Apke, so I don't think he's going to make this roster, so we don't have to waste too much time talking about Troy Apke. Next player on this list is Jeremy Reeves, another guy who a lot of people liked, another guy that I like personally, who filled in well for DeShazer Everett when he went down, and him and Cameron Curl, they played well. he had some solid plays. And shout out to Ron Rivera. This was a time when a lot of people wanted to go out and get Eric Reed, and Ron Rivera was like, no, we don't need Eric Reed. We have Jeremy Reeves. He's a guy that has worked his tail off in training camp and practice, and he deserves a shot. And Ron Rivera gave him a shot, and he did not turn it down. He did not look back, is what I should say. Jeremy Reeves took full advantage of that shot that he got. Even though it was a small portion, he took advantage of that, and he's another guy who I kind of want to say is a lock, but I still don't want to say that yet. But I feel like Jeremy Reeves is going to make this roster, and he can be another guy that can be a starting free safety for us. I don't think it's going to happen, but he can be a guy that can be our starting free safety come week 1. You cannot rule him out of that. And then the next person I want to talk about is Bobby McClain. Bobby McClain is another guy who can play nickel, who can play the free safety position, and it was a great acquire by Washington in my opinion. Like I told you, I wasn't super ecstatic about the acquire only because I felt like we had Shays, we had Jeremy Reeves. Like I told you, and like I will continue to say, I was fine with the free safety room, or the safety room rather. I was like, okay, it can be some upgrading. I'm not mad if we upgraded, but if Ron Rivera was like, hey, we're fine with Landon, we're fine with Cameron, we're fine with DeShazer, and we're fine with Jeremy Reeves, I would have been like, okay, Ron, cool. But he decided to not only acquire Bobby McClain, but also he went out and decided to draft Derek Forrest. Only reason why I didn't say Troy Ackley is because I don't think he's going to make this roster, quite frankly. So with Bobby McClain, he doesn't only bring his ability to play on the field, but he's like another coach. You've seen him. He was a captain in Miami, and they only let go of him because they had a younger guy and a draft pick that they just drafted. So they got rid of him for cap reasons, and he can come here and be not only a captain for Washington and be an extension of Ron Rivera on the field, but he can also ball out, man. Whether that's at safety or that's in nickel, he's going to provide for Washington. So I think he's a lock to make this roster. I don't know if he's going to be a starter at safety or a starter in the slot, but he's going to get on the field and he's going to make plays for Washington. So, like I said, man, we have a bunch of safeties, and I feel like that's everyone. I know that's everyone who I believe has a chance of making the roster. Let me know who you guys think about down below. Who did I miss? Who is someone I should keep an eye open for at the free safety position, or at the safety position, rather? So, without further ado, it's me, your boy Juan Gotti. I just wanted to come on here quickly and talk about the safety room. Those are the players that I personally think are going to make the roster. Like I said, I believe Bobby McClain is going to make the roster. Cameron Curl is a lock. DeShazer Everett is going to make the roster. Landon Collins, unfortunately, is a lock. You guys know, as I talked about in this video, I don't want him on this roster just because he's not producing. But hopefully I'm wrong. I'll give him a chance to prove himself. Jeremy Reeves is going to make this roster. Bobby McClain is going to make this roster. And Derek Forrest is going to make this roster. The odd man out is probably, or most likely, Troy Ackley, which I know a lot of people are happy about. And other than that, maybe Jeremy Reeves or DeShazer Everett. I really hope neither one of those guys get cut or to the practice squad, because those guys can really help us out in the long run. So, man, it's me, your boy Juan Gotti. Let me know what you guys think about this video. So, yeah, man, it's me, your boy Juan Gotti. Let me know what you guys think about this video down below. That's Washington's safety room headed into training camp. Let me know who you guys would, get rid of, who you guys would keep, who do you want to see starting out there, and also let me know what position you want to see me cover next. As always, it's me, your boy Juan Gotti. Like, comment, subscribe. Help to the Washington football team. We're so close to 3,000 subscribers. I know we can get there in no time. Just hit that subscribe button for me. It's me, your boy Juan Gotti. I'm out. Peace. Cost me one time, that's gonna get you pop, get you drop.